The best of the Bill and Corey Show.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Corey.
Someone's looking for a basic industrial regulator like the 3530A series, and they need mounting options.
This is our 3530A series regulator. It's a brass regulator, and it's one of our better ones. And it comes with various mounting options. The first is the Z bracket. You have to take the knob off, pop the cap off, take the knob off, you insert this over top of it, and then we have a nut. And we give you two, but you only need one. And you screw it on the threads right there, attach the back with screws to whatever mounting plate you have, and it'll hold it up there. This is a bracket that allows you to use the back end. There's two 10x32 tapped holes back here, and these are the screws that go in there. They're not included with the regulator, but you can use this to attach it to the regulator, and then you can mount this bracket wherever you want. And then we have our protocol station. This one comes with a nice flex hose in it, so you can attach it wherever you want. But on the outlet here, it has the CGA bushing, and you can connect.
You want me to hold this?
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
I got it. Attach it to the bushing, and then you can attach your regulator right to it. And then you can attach it's the same bracket that I just showed you. Attach that wherever you would like. And so we have three options for doing that. All right.
Okay. Customer is looking for information on the cable for the output port of the PM24.
So this is our PM24. It communicates with our IPSs. What does IPS stand for again?
Indicating pressure.
Indicating, yeah, that one blanked out on me. And so it will let you know when it's running or when the pressure is low, the red light will come on. And below it is where we have our communication connections where the cables would go into. Now, we don't sell cables for this. We do sell connector kits. We don't sell cables for it because it allows the customer to be able to make their own cable, specify to whatever needs they have. It'd be really difficult for us to have a cable for all types of situations, and we would have a lot of different cables. So it allows you to make your own length and connect to whatever you're connecting to with whatever end connection you need, and it makes it much more simpler. So we would be able to sell you, if the connectors have gone bad, we do have a connector kit for you, and that is what we would offer.
Yeah, and the connector kits come with the PM24, so you don't have to buy those separately.
Yes.
But people do lose those.
Yeah, they do lose those, so they are on our website sold separately.
Customer says, I was wondering if you had a model 3128 regulator with a gauge oriented in line with the regulator body. Right now I'm working on a system design where the regulator is being installed vertically. This, I imagine, would make someone tilt their head in order to read the gauge values. In order to eliminate future neck cramps, is there a regulator with the gauge oriented so you won't tilt your head?
Well, we could. There's two solutions I thought of for this one. You could add some adapters to this, a nipple and an elbow, to make the gauges, tilt up a little bit more, and that would help solve the problem. The other one is you don't have to put the gauges on the regulator. You could put the gauge before the regulator and after the regulator. So in your line, you could have a T come out with an elbow going up, and then you could put the gauge on there, or you could put and then the other gauge afterwards with another T, another elbow, and that would work as well.
Yeah. Well, you can also, with these, the regulators are marked with H for high pressure, L for low pressure, and this one's a dual stage regulator, so it's an I for interstage port. So we've had customers take the regulator, with the inlet here, and then they want the outlet in the gauge port, and then they want this gauge over here. So we can make a regulator like that for you.
Yeah.
So. Good. And the last one's on our 8058. You had a question on that?
Yeah, so the customer bought our 8058 detector, and you can get these detectors to use for different gases. This one specifically for hydrogen gas, and the person asked if it would interfere with carbon monoxide, methane, benzene, or carbon dioxide if they were happen to be in the same area as this detector. The answer is yes, it can interfere with that. So However, my thought process is you don't want those other gases there anyways, so.
Yeah, that'd be kind of, yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you got a room full of all that stuff, maybe you should be somewhere else.
But
I think they're just talking about minor.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, that's all the questions we have for this week, and this will be posted whenever YouTube decides to post it. I guess it might even be right when we hit the end stream button on our Matheson Specialty Gas Equipment Tech Support YouTube channel. So once again, thanks, and we'll see you again. I'm Bill.
And I'm Corey.
Yeah, welcome back. This is kind of like our Christmas episode because we're going to be the next 2 weeks will be best ofs.
Oh,
so
I didn't wear my Christmas tie on. I didn't get the memo.
I got that. No, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't send you that one. This is always, we have a little teleprompter here, and it's always really for the questions and a couple like technical details if we need to have that. But the first one, it just says Corey question, because whenever I see Corey question, I know it's going to be fun because the question is just too long to put on the teleprompter.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of whines, and it's got its own life.
Yes. So I had a gentleman call me that was having, flow problems with our regulator. Well, first thing he wanted to do was the regulator that he had was inlet on this side, outlet on this side.
That's his old regulator.
That's his old, as I said, old regulator.
Okay,
yeah, the old regulator he had was running the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And he liked that because that's the way they're running it. He could see the gauges and he could do that. So he wanted to make his regulator also that way. One idea that he had was he wanted to turn the gauges around so you could see the gauges, but you'd have to reach around the back to do it. That's one possible solution.
Yeah.
And I might add that this is a two-stage regulator. So the high points and the low points are important. A single-stage regulator, you can flip it, put them on the back because they have 3 low ports and 3 high ports. But the interstage regulator, or the two-stage regulator, has an interstage port that you can't put another gauge in because it's just going to read the interstage pressure.
Yeah. You could put one in there.
You could put one in there.
Hey, it's reading 350.
Yes. Yeah, so one thing that actually popped in my head that I thought was a pretty good idea, and I want to share with you guys here, is, it's nice. The main gauge is the delivery pressure. That's the one you most care about. Yeah, we want to know how much is left in your cylinder, but you're not checking that. It's this gauge. So what you can do.
Now our regulators our pipe thread is a little bit tighter. You can't.
Oh yeah. These are regulators that we don't. And where's my little tool?
Your little tool here. No, this plug.
Oh yeah.
That one's loose. You wouldn't be able to get the other one out.
Oh, but this is interstage. You unloosened the wrong one.
Oh, did I unloosen the wrong one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well, then why'd you tell me to go to that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, of course, we can do this for you.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Modified regulator, and we'll figure out how to describe this. But you can put like that. Your inlet gauge from your cylinder is right down here. You can still read it. It's just a little bit annoying, but it's it's a big gauge. You don't have to look at it.
It's empty, full.
Yeah, it tells you it's empty, it's full. This is the delivery gauge that is really important. You want to see what your delivery pressure is. So in this case, you get the right side up view of your delivery gauge, and you just have to worry about the small, and you get your let's see here, what am I looking at? Left to right. Now, and more has, so the guy was also having some flow problems. And I want to add that this is just, do not do this.
Yeah, well, he was talking about loosening a nut.
Loosening a nut, and he called it the 2-inch nut. I didn't realize he was talking about the bonnet.
The bonnet, the nut's about a 2-inch
nut. So he's talking about the bonnet. So he took the bonnet
Once again,
out.
you're going to need a really big wrench to loosen it.
Yeah. This is not, I am strong. I'm strong, but I'm not this strong. And so he took it off, and he said, wow, the diaphragm, it's got some weird ridges in it. So he poked it. Don't poke it. And then, of course, So one of the huge problems here is that we're not going to reuse this regulator. Right now, I have no idea what particulates have gotten on this just by being out in the air right now. Yeah. So he put it back on, and then then the regulator, he tried it again, and it was leaking through the bonnet. And so it could be because of particulate, it could be because of anything. It's really hard to take this off with the diaphragm staying in there perfectly and not being able to do anything. So definitely don't do that. It does have ridges on it. It does have, that's part of the design. The guy thought it was something interesting. And then he also asked about the holes in here. So I just want to add the holes because we get asked about this sometime, but there's
there's these little holes, and he was concerned why there's a hole. And so these are weep holes.
Well, which it was on the
Sorry.
nut.
It's on the nut, yeah. You want to do the zoom in? So he's concerned about this hole in the nut. He's also concerned about that hole, which I told him was a bond and vent hole, which it'll leak gas out if it gets past the diaphragm. And this is a little weep hole. And this hole is for...
That's when you
tighten it down, air doesn't get trapped in, and somehow push the, like you could create a pressure.
Yeah, because it's a threaded connection, and you get really high torque. You're talking like 75 foot-pounds of torque on there, a big wrench, and you have problems sealing if you get air trapped in there and you're kind of compressed. There's all sorts of stuff happens. So they have a little bleed hole.
A little weep hole, but don't shed a tear.
Yeah, don't.
Oh, I should probably put the rest of this on, huh?
Nah, just leave.
Go ahead.
You put it back together. Oh, probably the big problem when you're taking it apart is you could mess up the diaphragm, and once you mess up it is.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's this flexible, thin piece of metal. It's still,
Or you can put the button on the wrong way, but that's fine.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was just.
And
I was just actually doing that right now because I was looking at this. I was like, which way does it go?
Exactly.
Intuitively, I would say this way.
So if you put it on the wrong way,
it's
it's gonna screw up the regulator.
Yeah, and then you're not gonna get proper pressure readings or leaks of some sort. And
kind of swap out panels on that one.
Yeah.
Then we had a customer. This is kind of good. We had one of these being built at the time. They had a customer who was asking, you want to zoom in on this panel?
Can you get lower? Put it down behind the desk. Can you put it behind the desk and still zoom down?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Why there's so much dead space on this gauge? And this is a 9000 series panel.
And what exactly is dead space, Bill? I don't know.
Dead space. That's space that's not in the process stream.
Yes.
So
the gas will just sit there.
Yeah, gas will come. Just hooked up the cylinder. It'll come through, and then these are called dead legs or dead space. And part of it, dead space isn't always that good for purging out and stuff. So you're concerned about that, especially in a high purity system. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. This 9000 series panel, it's a semiconductor grade, parts per billion type impurities. So it's welded VCR. It's got all this RA, 10 RA tubing, electro-polished, everything super smooth, very few voids. And the gauge, it kind of sticks out there, and you kind of want, hey, why can't you bring it in closer? Well, it's because this is a VCR connection. I'll kind of turn it. It's not working. I'll hold it upside down. It's a VCR connection, and you got a nut and a male piece, and I'll show you what it is there, why there's such a gap there. Is because you have to be able to loosen the nut. Now this is this is kind of like just a version we had laying around. So this is it's a plug, but pretend this is the part that's on the regulator. So when you take the nut off, you need to be able to slide the nut up. And there's your gasket just popped out. So you need to be able to slide the nut up to assemble it, disassemble it. So that's why you have such a big dead leg on there. And it's just unavoidable.
Yeah, it's not like a 1/4 inch FNPT that you can just thread right inside the body of the regulator,
But some people with their systems try to eliminate the use of gauges in you try to eliminate dead legs. So they might go, I really don't need a gauge there. It's really not doing much for me.